Before we get started, be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure and click that blue bell, and you'll be notified of any upcoming videos that we have ready for you to watch. And then in addition to that, you can sign up at openlove101.com to our newsletter, and you'll be notified of any, once again, videos or articles that Jackie may be writing or anything that we have going on. So openlove101.com, subscribe to our newsletter. And today, over the years, hold on.
Hang on. So we have to talk about the elephant in the room, right? Like, we're in a different room. I know most of you are used to seeing us in our house, and we're switching it up, right? So this is our first time in a studio. So I'm kind of excited, a little bit nervous. You'll see how this goes. Got my mic.
And we actually have a true production guy behind the scenes here.
He's like totally watching.
Yeah. So we're really excited to be here and to try out this new podcasting studio. So once again, welcome to the show. Over the years, Jackie and I have spoken about consent and consent in respect of, at the clubs or at a party or something like that. And it's a really, really important part of being in the lifestyle today to make sure that you ask for anything, ask to touch, ask to watch, ask to, may I join you guys in the conversation, whatever it is. And I hear people talking a lot about how, that guy didn't ask before he, grabbed my, touched my hand, or he just interrupted in the conversation. It seems like many, many times it's about men.
Yeah.
And Jackie and I found even recently, one of our staff was helping us out with something, and someone came up and put her hand up the dress of one of our staff and thought it was completely okay. And it's absolutely not. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is the importance of consent, even if you're a woman.
Yeah. And this is so typical of, of the lifestyle, is the single men can end up in a category that can be a negative category, right? And what ends up happening so often is the women are ignored. As far as, guidelines and rules and boundaries and, having that conversation. I'm not really sure what that stems from, but I know in my experience, I've had quite a few women come up and just assume that they can touch me without asking. I don't know if that comes from the belief that women in the lifestyle are bi, because we do know in the lifestyle that there is more of an openness in that arena for women. We still haven't breached that with men, but with women, there's kind of this underlying assumption that every other woman that's in there is going to be interested in another female. And while there can be a lot of women like that, there's going to be other women that aren't. And regardless of that, you're always going to want to make sure that the person that you're confronting, the person that you're wanting to engage with, is going to be receptive of that. That's just common courtesy. So it's, sometimes we end up ignoring the female side of this issue, because it's not just the men. It's not just single men or married men or that are doing this, but it's the single women and the married women. And so it's one of those topics that, it's never a fun topic to have, where you feel like you're saying, okay, look, everybody, we have to just kind of, watch our P's and Q's. You want to be respectful of everybody else that's in the club. But they're good conversations to have, because sometimes we may not even be aware that we're doing it. We've talked about this before too. I come from an era where there's a lot of hugging. That's kind of how I greet someone, is that hug. And I've had to learn to ask, is it okay if I hug you? And, it's okay. Times are changing, and it's really important that we learn to change with those changes.
And, a lot of people, when, I say too, I'm a hugger, and they'll say, hey, you never have to ask, this is like the one time, it's the one time consent thing. You never have to ask someone to consent again to give them a hug or something like that. So I think that's something that you'll see that's pretty common in the lifestyle. The other thing, I think when you talk about old school, I used to give tours at the club in New Orleans 20 years ago, and we'd have new couples come in. I'd give them a tour of the facility, show them where everything was. Here's the bathrooms, the bar. This is where you put your bottle. And then we'd go to the second floor where there's a lounge and some play areas. And I would talk about, the different rooms and what they're for up there. And I would say, if you're on this bed and there's a couple next to you, just, reach over and gently, touch someone on their hand. And if they pull away, it means they don't want you to play. And if they respond in a positive way, it means they're probably okay with you coming over, or at least, watching at that point.
Boy, that does not happen today.
It really shouldn't. It's a lot of couples in this day and age do not condone that. They really want you to ask first. And that's my point. They really want you to ask first before you even make a light touching motion like that.
Right.
And especially in a situation where there's, sexual activity going on, that's where it's really important to make sure that you ask for consent before you do anything like touch, and even watching those situations.
Right. And, I understand the excitement of being in a club or being at a party or being on vacation where there's a lot of other like-minded couples there. I get it. You can get all caught up in the excitement of it. And, because you're at a lifestyle event, there's already that undercurrent of everybody being kind of on the same page as far as their sexuality is concerned. They may be at different levels, but we already know that that's an arena that we're in. So it's so important to understand that just because you're in that environment, it doesn't automatically give you a free pass, to touch someone. And, this is just really important. These are important reminders, because I've been at events where I've had someone touch me inappropriately. And, it wasn't that I was mad or made a scene or anything like that, but it was a reminder to me of, how it can make someone else feel as the recipient of something that's unwanted. We don't want to have to get after somebody, about touching, like, I don't want you to touch my butt. I just, that it's not a comfortable feeling. And so, you don't want there to be that awkwardness. And so, doing videos about reminding people, don't just assume you can go up and smack somebody or grab them or touch them, or that's going to be welcome. You have to understand the importance of giving the person that you're wanting to give attention to the opportunity to be involved in that.
Yes.
And when you don't, you're essentially saying that it doesn't matter how that you make someone else feel, that you have the right to do whatever you want. And we don't. I mean, we never have, but we're definitely in a time frame today where we're much more conscious of the fact that we can't just run around hairy-carry doing whatever we want and there not be an impact to other people. So to me, it's a good thing that we're doing. Everybody has a value, and we can't just abuse that.
And the thing is, when it comes to, because I'm in the same boat as you are. I mean, women will definitely come up to me and they can, want to give me a hug and grab my butt or give me a kiss and other things, grabbing me some other places. And being the owner of the club or the host of a party, it definitely makes me feel a little more uncomfortable than if I was at a place where, we were just on vacation or something like that. Right. I mean, I'm there trying to work, make sure everyone has a good time, enjoys the club and the atmosphere, making sure the staff does their job. And when someone touches me like that, it can really kind of be uncomfortable. And the other thing is difficult for myself and maybe the staff. We don't want to make someone else feel really uncomfortable by making a scene about it or by pulling them aside and having a talk. Now, if they do grab me between, in my crotch, I'll definitely pull them aside and have a talk, because I really don't want them to treat the staff that way. Absolutely not. They're off limits for that. So by doing it with someone that works at a club or that's a host of a party, it definitely can be pretty uncomfortable. Even if it's, in normal circumstances, it might be you might think it's kind of casual.
Right.
And then the other thing I want to touch upon, many times.
Touch upon. Sorry.
Many times when this happens, I found that the people are definitely probably drunk.
Well, that's another one of those kind of elephants in the room. You don't want to, that's another one of those touchy subjects, because you do want people to come to parties or gatherings and you want them to enjoy themselves, and for a lot of people that includes alcohol. And I don't think anybody's saying that we don't want alcohol involved, or that you shouldn't ever be drinking when you're doing things. But it is an important reminder that maybe sometimes our freedom in touching people runs alongside the amount of alcohol that we've consumed. And, maybe we need to watch that last drink that we had, or maybe we pace ourselves a little better, or, we make sure that we don't let that get out of hand, because we all know that the more we drink, a little more free we feel.
Our boundaries go out the window.
They get a little blurred.
And so that's a great point, is to be more conscientious about what you're doing in that moment if you are drinking, if you can.
Because, everybody's there to have a good time, and we do want people to have a good time. I want to have a good time. I want everybody else there to have a good time. And so, really the basis of this video is just to remind people that really is the ultimate goal. You're there to enhance your relationship, and so is everybody else. So just keep that in the forefront of your mind. If you wouldn't want it done to you, then you probably shouldn't do it to someone else.
Well, and there's plenty of people out there that would want it done to them.
Well,
and so that's part of the problem. And I think we have to pull ourselves away from that, and even though you as a person might be okay with someone touching you like that, it doesn't mean everybody is.
That's a good point.
And many people that like me, I don't really care, honestly. When I'm in a work environment, it bothers me to some degree, but otherwise, I'm not so sensitive. But other people out there might be sensitive to it. And that's what you have to really keep in mind, is you get used to touching people that are your friends and so forth, and it just carries over into someone that you may have just met. And they may be a brand new couple. And by you touching them in a way that offends them in some way or makes them feel uncomfortable, they may never come back to the club or the party again. It may ruin them in the lifestyle.
Oh, that's a good point.
And you really don't want that to happen. This beautiful, cute couple that's coming in that you want to hang out with, and because someone wasn't thinking and touched them inappropriately and freaked them out, and they never come back. Because those are the complaints that I see. Like, I can't, we were really nervous when we got there, and the first thing we did, we met a couple, and the woman grabbed my wife in a certain way and made her feel uncomfortable, and we're never going back again.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that couple that causes someone that's new
to not want to come back.
Yeah, for sure. So we're not getting on anybody. Just keep that in mind when you're in the clubs and at parties. Just think about that a little bit.
Yeah.
In order to listen to this interview or the rest of our podcast, you're going to need to join Open Love 101 Plus, which is our members only section of Open Love 101. To join, go to openlove101.com/members. You'll see it here on the screen at some point. There you can find interviews that we've done with other people, webinars, and Jackie and I do one-on-one sessions on, actually we've been doing Zoom meetings lately. It's just a great way to learn about the lifestyle and interact with other people that are in the lifestyle. So please go to openlove101plus.com/members to join Open Love 101 Plus. And now we've come to our Ask John and Jackie segment. Oh, Ask John and Jackie. Ask John and Jackie segment of our program.
What were you thinking about?
Where we take questions from people in our audience.
Yeah.
And so I think Carrie's got some queued up. Carrie, got any questions over there?
All right. So I want to go to a club, a lifestyle club for the first time, but how do I talk my partner about doing it? My partner is a little intimidated about the whole club scene and thing, and is worried that's going to be a little bit too overwhelming. how can I help settle the nerves and make it comfortable for them to go with me?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
And it's a question that we get a lot, right? You know, because that most people have absolutely no idea what a lifestyle club is, other than what they've made up in their mind. I mean, I know I did. I had some pretty crazy ideas of what that was going to be like.
I know. Tell them about that. What were you thinking?
So this is what makes it even weirder, is because, you know, when John and I reconnected, he owned clubs, you know, lifestyle clubs. So you would have thought I would have been completely comfortable going to a club for the first time, but it took me months, right? I mean, it was a minute before I finally worked up the courage. And I remember like freaking out about what I was going to wear, you know, what I was going to do with my hair, what was going to happen when I got in there. I mean, I had myself convinced that, you know, I was going to walk in the club and there was going to be some, I don't know, initiation, or I was going to have to go to the back areas and it was going to be all like dark and yeah, real caveman kind of mentality, you know. So to say that once I got there and got in the club and actually started talking to some of the couples and some of the singles in there, I don't want to say that I was disappointed that none of that stuff that I had going on in my head.
But she was disappointed.
I was like, oh, this is just a bunch of normal people. I mean, I don't know.
Normal everyday club. They're dancing.
Yeah, they're dancing. They're having a drink. They're talking about work and kids and, you know, just life, real life. And I don't know how I thought that was going to be different, that somehow somebody just being more free in their sexuality was just going to somehow change them into something completely unrelatable. It really spoke to me about where I was with my own sexuality, that I would think that it would make somebody almost negative, which is really kind of sad in a way. But, you know, so for me, if I was going to tell somebody about the club, one, I relate that story, but two, you know, I would introduce them to our site, have them watch some of the videos, or have them go to the club, our club website, the collectclubs.com, because we have lots of photographs in there, you know, lots of information about the club. You know, the other thing is, once you get to the club, if you are brand new, you're going to receive a tour. There's going to be staff there that are going to be willing to answer your questions that you have. And they can even introduce you to couples that have been coming to the club for a long time. And those people would be more than happy to answer your questions. You know, so that would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can definitely, well, you can have them watch this video or listen to this podcast.
Well, there is that. Yeah.
And listen to Jackie's story and how it wasn't at all what she thought it was going to be. You know, we do have this idea in our heads that it's going to be so overwhelming. Like, how am I going to act? My suggestion is go in there with very low expectations. Just go there, have a good time, plan on meeting some people. Don't think about anything else can go on except talking to other couples. You know, absolutely set your boundaries with each other if something does go on from there. But I really encourage you just to go in there without expectations, just have a good time, have a drink and dance.
Yeah. Have fun.
We want to thank you guys for joining our show today. Be sure and subscribe to openlove101.com. You'll receive our newsletter with upcoming articles from Jackie, and it'll also notify you of our podcasts and videos that we have coming out. Look forward to seeing you again soon. See ya. So did you like that video? Then be sure and click on that subscribe button below, and you'll be guaranteed great sex the rest of your life.